Hello. Today I'm going to share with you the 6 types of aspiring expats that I have run into over the last 3 years. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Patricia Brooks, and I am an American expat who made her move to the south of France back in 2018. And I've been here ever since. And I came first on a sabbatical, and now I have a business here in France helping people who are ready to start the next chapters of their lives, living and thriving in their dream countries. And on this channel, I talk about my life in France, moving abroad, and how to find the confidence and courage to dig down deep and do the scary thing of leaving your country for a foreign one. And today, I wanted to do this video because I thought it would be kind of fun to unpack the 6 categories of aspiring expats I have spoken to over the course of the 3 years that I've had my business here in France. All right? And I think this is interesting because when you can identify with where you would fall, even if it's not complete, that can help give you a sense of some of the things that you might find challenging, some of the things that you may need to move through, and also give you some insights on who to look to if you are searching for a coach or a mentor or some sort of program to help you to make that move. Now, first I want to talk about 3 overarching types, and then I'm going to dig down into the more specific types. All right? I can't tell you how many times I've gotten on a discovery call and somebody says, well, I'm a planner. I'm like, okay, I got that down, check that off. That is the kind of person who is going to dot their I's, cross their T's, double check and check again to make sure that everything is right? And they know this about themselves, and so they schedule a call with me sometimes to get some information. And if that is you, I do offer an information session about my experiences in France, and you can check that link out in the description. Now, on the other end of the spectrum from the planner, you've got the person who is a fly by the seat of your pants person, right? And so they have maybe made lots of moves in their lives, and the moves have always turned out for them. So they are less concerned about planning and more concerned about just getting there. And they might also be the kind of person who says, well, I've never been to a certain place, but I think that's where I'm supposed to be, and move sight unseen. That is not me, all right? I was a project manager in corporate, and so I kind of tended to be more of a planner. But now I have gotten to a place where I am the type that is in the middle of those 2 extremes. And I call that category a partial planner because, yes, I planned for my move here in France. I did some good due diligence, but there were some things that I did not care for, which got taken care of when I got here. And that I was able to do that because in my project management career, I saw how when I obsessed and overplanned and overprepared, that it was very stressful. And a lot of times the things that I was planning for didn't happen. And so that felt like, a lot of times we plan for certain things and something else would go wrong that we could not have predicted. And in the end, we figured it out. And so I had some degree of comfort in knowing that if I cover my bases, those other things that if I were a planner, I might over plan for and create more stress in my life. And for me, that doesn't feel good anymore. I have a value of, or a belief that life is not meant to be a struggle. And so struggle to me is effort laced with negative emotions. Okay, so those are the 3 overarching types. So you can be one of those and then be one of the following 6. And I'm going to start with the ones I see the least coming through my discovery calls. So type number 6 is the money conscious expat. This type is somebody that I will hear, well, what's your rent? What are you paying for rent? What's the cost of living like there? Could I live on X number of dollars? They also might be interested in the FIRE movement. They might be interested in buying property off the bat so that they can own and then not pay for rent and feel like they're throwing money away. So that is type number 6. And I don't see that many of that type coming through to me, I think probably because that was not my experience or what I did or my reason for moving to France. Now, type number 5 is an interesting one, and I call it the adventure expat. This is somebody who likes to live abroad, get a good feel for their new country over the course of 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 years, and then they start looking around for what country they're going to live in next. And they're a little bit nomadic in that sense. After 5 years, 6 years, you start to feel like, oh, this is normal. There's not a whole lot of adventure, or there's less adventure in what I'm experiencing. And I want that high of, starting over and learning a new culture. So that is type number 5. I'm not that type either. I lived in my last house in the US for close to 20 years. So I kind of set down roots and stay there. Now, type number 4 is what I call the cultural values expat. They are somebody who is living in a country where they feel like the culture that they grew up in no longer feels right to them. It feels divisive. It doesn't feel like where they want to spend the rest of their lives. They may not want to retire there just because it doesn't fit culturally. And people in this category might say, oh, I want a slower pace of life, or I want to be where the quality of food feels better, or I want to be able to go someplace where I can afford medical care. So cultural values expats are looking for a different kind of life. Even if the life that they had in their current country suited them, they're ready to turn the corner and live someplace that is more in alignment with their cultural values. All right. And this is kind of me, but that's not my primary category. All right. So as I have listed off the first 3 of these, does this make sense to you? Can you see yourself in any of these? If so, go ahead and click the like button. I want to also share with you that I, along with Dr. Christopher Wells, have launched a workshop that we are going to be giving on October 13th called From Vision to Victory, the Essentials to Become a Happy and Healthy Expat. And it's going to take place in person in Valencia, Spain, October 13th. That's a Sunday. It's an all-day event. So if you are planning a scouting trip and will be in Europe, look at the 13th and plan to be in Valencia so that you can take part in that. It's going to be amazing. We're going to learn a lot, and we're going to take your move abroad and your move abroad plans to the next level. And so if you're interested in that, go ahead and click the link that I am posting at the top of this video. That is a link to a live stream that Christopher and I did a few days ago that will give you details about the topics that we're going to dig into more in Valencia, but also more about the workshop. So go ahead and click on that, and I look forward to seeing you in person in Valencia, Spain. Now, type number 3 is near and dear to my heart. I call this type the expansion expat, because even though I spent the last year and a half writing a book about why I had to get to France, at the base of it was I was at a point where I was ready for bigger challenges than the US had for me. And so I told myself, well, I want to learn French. I want to become fluent in French. And I want to wake up feeling challenged every day. And I said to myself, oh, Patricia, if you live in a French-speaking country, you are going to have challenges to last you a long time. And that has been the case. So I am an expansion expat looking for personal growth, expansion, and seeing how far I can go, how far I can push my limits. So that is type number 3, expansion expat. Type number 2 is a type that I hear about quite frequently. And that is somebody who comes on a discovery call and they say, the reason that I want to move abroad is because though I've lived in this country all of my life, I never felt like I was from this country. I always felt apart. I always felt like an outsider. So this type of expat is the outsider expat. Somebody who, even though it's their culture, they feel apart from it and they're looking for that place that feels like home to them. And so the outsider expat is highly motivated to get to that place because I think we all want to be in a place that feels good to us, where we feel like people get us. And it's a powerful motivator. And then finally, type number 1. What do you think it is? What do you think is the type that I see come through my discovery calls the most often? Well, type number 1 is somebody that I am not, but a lot of people have, for a long time, since they were children, have had an affinity to a certain country for whatever reason. Sometimes it's a reason they can't put their finger on, but they will say, for as long as I can remember, I've wanted to live in France. And now that I'm in a place in my life where, my kids are grown and I can do this thing for myself, I am ready to start the next chapter of my life in this country I can't stop thinking about, haven't stopped thinking about since I was young. Now, this is not something that I can relate to because my move to France came after France got on my radar back in 2015 was the first time I came to France. That was when I thought, I could see myself living in France. And then 3 years later, I did it, right? It's not like since I was 10 or 12, it's quite recent. So, but I appreciate this because when people are the affinity expat, as I call them, they know exactly the country they want to go to. And so that part of figuring out things is already taken care of. They know the country. And it's a powerful reason, even if they can't express it, it's a feeling. And this type of expat or aspiring expat is highly motivated as well, because similar to the outsider expat, it's something that is really internal. It's a part of who they are. And getting to that dream country of theirs is something that they don't want to have regrets about. All right. So those are the 6 types and then the 3 overarching types. Which type are you? Or maybe there's a different type I didn't touch on. Let me know in the comments. Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, subscribe, and don't forget to check out that video that Christopher Weld and I did that talk about our upcoming workshop, From Vision to Victory, Essentials to Become a Happy, Healthy Expat. All right, that's all I've got for you today. Bye for now.